So we have this dream, right? We have this calling within us, but we have a lot of fear. And I want to talk today about that fear and what it looks like so that you know, right? We need to understand what that fear looks like. And I also want to share, how do we overcome that fear? How do we stand up to it and say no more and keep moving forward? So let's first talk about, what does that fear look like? The fear takes many forms. It can be very internal, right? It is the inner critic that says, who do you think you are? What do you think you're doing? You are not capable of this. Look at all the other people who are smarter, faster, better, have different degrees. They are already doing things like this. What makes you think that you can do this? Self-sabotage. How often have you had just a little opportunity to pursue a particular dream and you found yourself not even going after it? Or you get an opportunity. This can take the form of a phone call, an email, someone saying, hey, I have someone you should talk to about that if you're interested in that. And we don't even follow through. Fear can also look like giving up. Examples of that include, I tell someone about my dream. I share my dreams with a close family, friend, colleague, and they speak like our inner critic. What makes you think you can do that? Why do you think you can do that? Sometimes it's very direct. Sometimes it's indirect, like, wow, you're really brave. Wow, I'd be terrified to do that. And we allow those comments and those feelings because we, of course, are doubtful. We're afraid ourselves. And so when the outside world tends to reflect that back on us, we use that as an opportunity to stop. Stopping and starting. So one of the other things that we tend to do when we're afraid is that we take little steps forward. But then when things start to get exciting, but also scary, we pause. We stop the momentum. That's one of the things I find that I do, is I tend to freeze in my tracks and think, oh my gosh, it's going to become too much and I won't know how to do it or what to do, and so I should slow down. So fear can look like slowing down. It can look like moving a little forward and then taking a step back. And we can do that for years. We can do that for a long time, right? And so part of us feels like, well, I'm following it, I'm kind of doing it, and it gives us just enough without making us feel too uncomfortable. So another form that fear can take is self-doubt. So this can look like, I don't have a degree, I don't have the certificate, I don't have enough experience, people won't listen to me, I don't have anything to say, I'm not sure what to say, I'm not perfect enough, I'm not good enough, I need more practice. That fear can look like self-doubt, and that can pop up in all sorts of different ways. My personal favorite, stalling. This is one that I'm an expert at this. I know how to stall with the best of them. In fact, that's one of the things that I have found myself doing as I'm embarking on Love Plus Business and the work that we're doing here, right? I have found myself stalling. So what does stalling look like? Stalling looks like, I have to plan first. I need more information. I need to create this process. It looks like busy work, right? That doesn't ever really move the needle forward, but it makes you feel like you're doing something, right? So as you can see, fear can look like a lot of things, right? But it's interesting because we may tell ourselves, and I have had several clients who will blatantly look me in the face and say, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid at all. I've got this. I know what I'm doing. I have this. But the truth is that fear takes on lots of different faces. And if we're not honest with ourselves about the fact that we are afraid, and that is perfectly normal. It is a normal part of the process. You are seeking to doing something that hasn't been done before, that you haven't done before, that you've never seen anyone do before, and that can be terrifying. And so we have to be honest with ourselves. I am afraid. What am I afraid of? And how is fear showing up for me? So like I mentioned, one of my biggest ways is stalling. I tend to stall. My oldest son has said to me, Mom, you gotta stop. You gotta move forward. It's not going to be perfect, and that's okay, right? That phrase, perfect is the enemy of done, is a cliche for a reason, right? So you wanna look at what is happening with your fear. How is your fear showing up? And what are you going to have to do to combat it? So self-awareness is the first step. I am aware that I am afraid. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of being stupid or looking stupid. I'm afraid of making mistakes. I'm afraid that no one's going to pay attention. I'm afraid that I'm going to set out on this journey and never get to where I'm expecting to go, right? Those are all very real fears. So understanding why you're afraid. The next thing you want to do is you want to see how fear is popping up for you, right? What does fear look like for you? And how is it manifesting itself in your life? And the reason you want to know that is because you're going to take direct action to combat that. Because you cannot overcome your fear. You cannot move past your fear unless you know what it looks like for you. So how do you determine what fear looks like for you? One of the ways to do that is to find somebody you really trust and talk through what's going on inside your head with them. That can look like, hey, I'm afraid, or I'm concerned, or I'm worried, or I feel stuck, or I feel like I'm spinning, I feel like I'm stalling. You may already have a sense of these things, and that's great. So you can talk that through with them. You may not know how your fear is showing up. I, for some reason, always seem to forget that I am researching, learning, talking, planning too much. And I have to, it's helpful when someone that I trust and love says to me, hey, you're stalling here. It's time to move forward. So you can also say, hey, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? What does this look like? Here are the things I'm working on. These are the things that I'm doing. What does that look like for you? And someone who's going to be really honest with you, who supports you, is going to be able to say, I'm noticing that you are filled with a lot of self-doubt and a lot of self-talk. You are saying really negative things about yourself and about the work that you're setting out to do. And that's something that's your fear popping up. Or they may be able to say to you, I'm noticing that you are talking to others who aren't supporting you, and your fear is popping up because I see that after you talk to them, you're really depressed and you feel really down about what you're working on. But it also helps for them to remind you what you're working on, right? So having that person that you trust can be incredibly beneficial. Journaling is a really wonderful way to kind of work through what is happening inside, what are the internal issues, what are you noticing for yourself, and being able to put them down on paper and then look at them becomes incredibly helpful. So with all of that in mind, right, understanding what fear might look like for you, being self-aware, asking for help in terms of what that fear might be, the most important part about all of this is you have to move through it, right? Courage, bravery is not the absence of fear. It is the decision and the action that it takes to continue to move toward something despite the fact that you're afraid. So that is the big thing here, right? That's the big thing to consider is you're going to have to take action. You're going to have to take steps. So you understand you're afraid. You know what that fear looks like for you. You understand how it's popping up to stop you. You've talked it through with someone and you have a really good sense of self-awareness and what this means for you and what you're going to have to do about it. And that last piece, you're going to need to take action and to take steps. So make a brief list, don't make a big list. What are the 3 things I'm going to do today to move forward, to move beyond my fear? And do that every day. And they could be little steps. Little steps are great steps because you put a bunch of little steps together in one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, you've made massive progress. So remember, action. Keep moving forward. Keep moving past that fear, and you'll find that that fear starts to let up on you little by little, and you'll see that you are making wonderful progress toward your dreams. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, Overcoming Fear to Achieve Your Dreams. This is one of the topics that I am most passionate about. Like I mentioned earlier, we are each here to do something very important and very unique that only we can do. And our dreams, they are those breadcrumbs from the universe calling us toward that purpose. So I hope that you got a lot out of this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you feel that this video inspired you, excited you, or raised questions for you, drop them in the comment section. We love to hear hear feedback, to hear what you're working on or what you're concerned about, and to offer support and assistance about that. And if you like what we're doing here at Love Plus Business, then go ahead and subscribe. You'll see that button in the bottom left-hand corner. We're so excited that you tuned in. See you again soon.